This is my friend Nick. Nick makes these awesome handmade decorative drums. He sells them on Etsy, but he doesn't have a website. So I decided to make him one. This video is gonna go step by step through making Nick's website. I'm gonna show you how we went from nothing to this, a beautiful, fresh, and modern website. Along the way, I'll share lots of secrets about web design. Things like where to find free stock photos that don't suck, what to write on your website, and how to write it. And I'll give you the honest truth about SEO and why telemarketers are lying when they call and they promise you the #1 position on Google. I'll also explain the weird little technical things that can trip you up. Things like how to make your logos transparent, or how to customize your favicon, how to set up your domain name, and even how to set up email on that domain name. It's a lot easier than you think. My name is Steve Benjamins, and I've been designing websites for over 20 years. I've had my websites featured in Wired, The Next Web, Forbes, and Huffington Post. This video took me forever to make, seriously. I've been working on it for like a month, but I think it's worth it because I'm certain if you watch the video fully, you'll be ready to get your own website up and running, and it'll be a great website. You don't need to code to build a website anymore. I'm a professional web designer and I don't code small websites anymore. I think it's overkill, it's stupid. These days, I just use Squarespace to build small websites. I use Squarespace for my mom's therapy website, for my band's website, and for my personal music website. We're gonna build Nick's website with Squarespace, though this video will still be helpful if you're using something else. There's a link to try Squarespace in the video description. If you use that link, you can also use the offer code PARTNER10 to get 10% off. And I'll also get an affiliate commission from Squarespace. Now, I'm not recommending Squarespace just because I get an affiliate commission. Almost every website builder offers affiliate commissions. In fact, I've had other website builders offer to pay me 4 times what Squarespace pays me, but I always turn them down. I turned them down because I sincerely believe Squarespace is the best option for small websites. It has beautiful themes and an intuitive interface. Plus, they have honest upfront pricing, which isn't always true of their competitors. And plus, if that's not enough, Elon Musk uses Squarespace for The Boring Company, his newest company. So, I mean, that's a pretty big endorsement. Start by clicking this link to Squarespace in the video description. Then click Get Started. The first step is to choose a template for your website. Don't stress too much about finding the perfect template here. You can always change it later. We're going to use a template called Jaunt. It's found under the Online Stores category. Then let's quickly register. And we're in. Welcome to Squarespace. Squarespace's editor has 2 important parts, the home menu and the website preview. So let's start by adding Nick's logo. From the sidebar, click Design and then Logo and Title. We'll write in Nick's site title. And you can see the site title has changed in the website header. If you don't have a logo, you can just leave it like this. But Nick has a logo, so we're going to upload it. Then we hit save, and boom, we got Nick's logo up. So there's one thing that trips people up here. What happens if your logo is not transparent? Here's an example of what the logo would look like if it wasn't transparent. This isn't the best example because the background color is actually pretty light, but you can see the white on the logo image still. Here's what to do if that happens to you, and you can totally just skip ahead if this doesn't apply. The first thing to know is that JPEG files do not support transparent backgrounds. PNG files do support transparent backgrounds. So I'm going to show you how to change your logo into a transparent PNG file. We're going to use a free tool called LunaPic. There's a link to it in the video description. With LunaPic, you just upload your image and then click the color you want to make transparent. We'll scroll down, and actually I'm still seeing some white in the logo. So scroll back up and change the mode to transparent color and hit apply. All right, that did it. That's a transparent logo. So save that image and then head back to Squarespace and add it as your logo. Save. And look at that, a nice transparent logo. So now that we've added our logo, let's create our first page. So from the sidebar, click Pages, and then click the plus button to add a new page. You can choose from pre-built layouts for pages, but we're just going to use the blank layout. We're going to call this page Home. We want this page to be our home page, which basically means it's the page we want to show when someone types in sergeantnickdrums.com. So I'm going to click the settings icon, and then I'm going to scroll to the bottom and hit Set as Home Page. Now Squarespace will know this is our home page. Now Squarespace automatically fills your site with demo pages that show off what it can do, but we're not going to use them, so we're just going to delete them. If you want to save them for later reference, you can just drag them into the Not Linked section. Okay, let's quickly delete them. By the way, if you ever accidentally delete a page, you can always find it with Squarespace's Deleted Pages option. It's at the bottom of the Pages sidebar. So Nick's site is going to have 4 pages: Home, My Story, Shop Drums, and Contact. So let's quickly add these 4 pages, each one as a blank. Now, I have to say, I find our logo in navigation a little small. So let's make it a bit more emphasized. So let's go back to the sidebar Home, click Design, and then click Site Styles. Site Styles is where you make style customizations, and there's 2 ways to do it. You can scroll through this list and find the element you're looking for, or you can click an element in the website preview to reveal style options available for that element. Since we want to style the navigation, let's click the navigation. First, let's change the font to Proxima Nova, which is the font we're going to use across Nick's website. Then let's change the uppercasing by changing the text transform to none. Let's increase the font size to 23. And finally, let's remove all that letter spacing. So things are looking good. I just want to increase the logo size a bit. So click the logo to reveal the style options for it. And I'm just going to change it from 150 to 180. And you know what? I think we've got a pretty nice looking header. Next, we're going to add some social media icons to the navigation, but before we do that, I want to talk about social media broadly. Nick is super active on Instagram and Facebook, and he does an awesome job of it. This is great because Nick's customers aren't just buying a drum, they're buying a handmade artisanal drum. Nick can tell that story through Instagram. He shares about the process, he shares cute pictures of his dog and his kid, and of course he occasionally shares his drums. So adding social media icons to Nick's website makes sense, but it may not make sense for every business. Because guess what? Not every small business needs to be on social media. Don't do social media just because you think you need to do it. Do it because it does something for your business. So don't add social media icons just because you think you need to. No social media is better than an abandoned social media account. Okay, rant over. Let me show you how I added Nick's social media icons. The first step is to connect our social media accounts to Squarespace. So click Settings, then Social Links from the Home sidebar. Then we just add any links to social profiles. For Nick, we're going to add Instagram and Facebook. Now let's go back and open Site Styles. Scroll down all the way to Header Layout, and then set the social position to top right. And then this is important. Click Save, and then reload Site Styles. So let's style these icons. Click into them, and we're going to start by making them a darker gray. Then let's change the style to solid. And you know what? Let's actually make the color just a little bit lighter. Finally, I think it's just a little too big relative to the navigation, so let's take the size from 40 to 32. And there we have it. Our navigation is styled and looking good. Next up, let's build our first page, My Story. So navigate to My Story, then hover over the page content and click Edit. Then let's add a heading. Center align it, and then change it to heading 1. Then we'll add a little spacer underneath it and make it a bit smaller. Next, we're going to add a bio that I wrote for Nick. I'm going to arrange this bio into 2 columns to give it a readable newspaper style feel. Okay, in editing this video, I realized I actually copy and pasted the same paragraph twice, but of course on the real website, these are 2 distinct paragraphs. I just didn't want to reshoot this because honestly, this video took me a long time to make. Okay, let's get back to it. Now, I feel like the text is a little wide, so let's add spacers to both sides here. That's better. Now, I just pasted in a bio that I had written previously. You're going to have to write the content for your own website, and here's a few tips for doing that. To write Nick's bio, I just interviewed him for 15 minutes. I recorded the interview as an iPhone voice memo, and then I used the interesting bits from it to form his story. I think this is preferable to asking Nick to write his own bio because I wanted it to sound conversational. Most people use jargon like industry leader or outstanding customer support when they try to write content for the website. We don't want to be those people. Good website writing is conversational and clear. Imagine you're having coffee with a friend and they ask you to explain your business. How would you talk? What words would you use? That's how you should write for a website. Don't hide behind jargon, just be human because human works on the internet. I tried to distill Nick's story down to the essentials because people don't read websites, they scan websites. A long wall of text won't get read. Here's another tip, don't write about yourself. Instead, write about your audience. What do they care about? What problems are you trying to solve for them? Admittedly, I don't do a great job of this with Sergeant Nick's drums. In part because I'm trying to play up the artisanal handmade angle. So rather than show you with Nick's website, let me demonstrate with the example of a cleaning service. Here's the cleaning service writing about themselves. We are a professional house cleaning service in the Toronto area with the best rates in town. Our cleaners are professional and punctual. We offer the highest level of service to all our customers. It's okay, but they didn't mention the customer once. It was all about them. Here's an example of writing for the audience. This is better. Tired of cleaning? Our Toronto cleaning service helps busy professionals like yourself. We get your house squeaky clean so you have time to focus on the things you need to do. It's just better. Okay, back to the My Story page. Because Nick makes handmade drums, I thought it'd be cool to add a handwritten signature under his story. I thought it'd give a human feel. So I got Nick to write out his signature on a piece of paper with a marker. Then I cropped the signature out of the image. Then I used a tool called LunaPic to cut out the background and turn the signature into a transparent image. There's a link to LunaPic in the video description. In LunaPic, I just started by uploading Nick's signature. Then I clicked the color I wanted to make transparent. And LunaPic got most of it, but there still is some of it, so I changed the mode to transparent color. And boom, that got it. So save this image and jump over to Squarespace, and we'll add the signature here. Now it's quite large, so we're going to add spacers on either side to center it and make it a little smaller. Then let's add another spacer just to give it some room. And oh, I think I need to extend this just a bit more. Perfect. And we'll save and preview. And look at that. Nick's signature is on the website. Next, I wanted to add some testimonials to this page. The best testimonials address fears and concerns in order to build trust. Fortunately, Nick had lots of great testimonials on his Etsy page, so I just grabbed a few and edited them down. Before adding these testimonials, I added a spacer just to create some distance between the signature and the testimonials. Then I added a small header. I made it a heading 2, and I center aligned it. Finally, I added the 3 testimonials as quotes using the quote element. And let's do this really quickly. Then I snapped all 3 into columns. Boom, done. Look at that. The last thing I want to add to this page is an Instagram feed. An Instagram feed may not be necessary for your website, but like I've said, Nick has a great Instagram account, so it's just another opportunity to add a human touch. So I add another spacer, and then I add another heading. We'll make this a heading 2, and we'll center align it. Then let's add a grid photo gallery. So I went to Nick's Instagram page and saved 12 photos I liked using GramSave, a free tool for saving Instagram photos. I could have embedded an Instagram feed, but this lets me curate the photos that we choose. So let's upload those 12 photos, and I'm just going to rearrange them, do this quickly. And I'm going to change it to 6 images per line, just to space it out a little bit so it's not too big. Finally, I'm going to add a button below the gallery that will link to Nick's Instagram in case people want to follow him. At Sergeant Nick Drums on Instagram. And we'll link that to his Instagram. And let's make this a large button. And with that, we have all the content for the My Story page. Here's what it looks like so far. It looks okay, but next we're going to style the page to make it look nicer. So let's navigate to Site Styles, and let's start by customizing the heading 1. So if we click the heading 1, this will reveal the style options. I'm going to change it to a font I like. It's called Libra Baskerville. And let's remove that upper casing. Let's bring the font size down. Right now our body text isn't very readable. It's too small and low contrast. Text is meant to be read after all. So let's click it, and I'm going to change the body text color to 333, which is a very dark gray, but not quite a pure black. Pure black tends to be a bit too intense. And let's change the weight to 400. Let's bring up the font size substantially. And there we go. That's looking nicer. So let's go down the page and let's style that heading 2. So click it, and we'll click the fonts, and let's increase the font size. Let's get rid of this font. We're just going to use Proxima Nova. That's what we keep using. And then let's remove this letter spacing, which basically puts spacing between letters, and remove the upcasing. And let's just reduce the weight a hair. There we go. That looks nice. Now we're going to change the quotes. So click the quote font, and let's change that again, Proxima Nova. And let's bring down the size just a little bit. And then let's change the source font. Again, Proxima Nova. And let's bring up the font weight just a little bit, and looking good. Finally, let's just make sure that the font in the button is using Proxima Nova. There we go. My story is starting to look a lot tidier. I'd say it's almost beautiful. Now you might have noticed we have a substantial amount of padding right here. We can actually get rid of this now that the navigation is so big. So let's go back into site styles. And let's start by taking the header top padding from 30 to 15. And then let's take the content section. Let's take that padding from 90 to 30. And that just tightens up the design a little bit. Now, Squarespace websites are responsive, which means they expand and they contract based on the viewport size. Because of this, websites can get really wide on a large screen, but I'm going to show you how to prevent the site from getting too wide. I'm going to do this by changing the design to constrained width. Under Site, change to constrained width, and we'll set it to, let's say 1400 pixels. This will transform this to this by setting a maximum width so that it can't get too wide. All right, now we've got our page styled and finally starting to look good. I think we're on our way. We've moved pretty quickly through this design, but in reality, it took me a couple of hours spread out over a few days to find this design. And those hours were spent doing lots of little tweaks, just trying to get things to feel right. And that's what design mostly feels like. It's constant iteration. The real work is often in refining and redesigning over time. It's not in the big dramatic redesigns. Here's some more tips for designing your website. There should be purpose behind everything. Make important elements obvious. Visitors aren't going to use something they can't find. Important elements should be consistent and obvious. This nonprofit does a great job of making sure the donation button is always close. Paragraphs should be double-spaced. Give your text room to breathe. Paragraphs should be between 40 to 70 characters per line. Don't let them get too wide. Wikipedia does a bad job of this. You don't want your paragraphs to look like Wikipedia. Avoid system fonts. For a long time, websites could only use system fonts. For example, Times New Roman, Georgia, Arial, or Comic Sans, but unfortunately those days are over. You can choose from a variety of web fonts today. If you're not sure how to choose colors, and honestly, who can blame you? It's one of the most intimidating parts of design. I'd suggest using a preset palette. For example, I use the Material Design Toolkit for any color I use on any of my websites. Here's my final tip. Find real people and watch them use your website. The best way to know if your design is working is just to see a real life person use it. Ask a friend to browse your website, but don't step in to show them how to do things. Just watch what they do. You're going to learn so much. Websites are really just text and images when you think about it. Those are the building blocks. The right image or photo will really elevate your website. A great example of this is Apple. Look at how they put their product photos front and center. It helps that their photography is stunning. Apple understands you don't tell people, you show people. The right photos is critical, and this is doubly true if you're selling a product online, like Nick is. Nick was shooting product photos on a wall in his house, and it looked decent, but I thought we could improve it. Luckily, I already had a photo box studio from Amazon, and these things are amazing for product photography, and they only cost $100. If you're doing product photography, don't bother buying a new camera, just get this. Photography is all about lighting, and you could shoot great product photos with just your iPhone and this photo box. I'm not a professional photographer, but I am really happy with how these turned out. If you're not selling a product, try to find something you can take a photo of. A great photo will make designing your website 100 times easier. So even if you're like a service provider, maybe you can get some professional photos of you working. Whatever you do, don't be afraid to be human and show yourself. It's really easy to hide behind stock photos, but people trust humans on the internet. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. That being said, if you do use stock photos, you're in luck. There's a huge selection of free stock photos on the internet these days. I'd suggest checking out StockUp, Burst, or Pexels. I've got a link to them all in the video description. Just try to avoid corny stock photography. Corny stock photos are typically the ones trying to be a metaphor. For example, a handshake to signal customer service. Studies have proven that these types of photos are mostly ignored, but we don't really need a study to tell us this. We all know those photos suck. Okay, now that we have some product photos of Nick's drums, it's going to be really easy to make our Shop Drums page. So navigate to Shop Drums, and let's add a heading 1. And then below that, let's say, we love making custom drums too. Get in touch. And we'll make this a link to the contact page. And let's center align that, and let's make it a heading 2. Next, let's add 2 product photos. And the second one. And then let's drag them into columns. I like that side-by-side look. Then directly below it, let's add the product name. We'll add a little dot and a link to Nick's Etsy page. Let's bold this, change it to a heading 2, and center align it. And this is the basic product listing. Now you may have noticed that I used 2 icons within the text of our drums. I used a middle dot and a double arrow. These are called Unicode characters, and you can copy and paste them into the text of any website. They don't need to be added as an image or anything. I've put a link in the video description to TopTal, which has a whole collection of Unicode characters you can just copy and paste into your website. Now let's move really fast and add a couple more products in this style. Boom, there we go, 4 more products. Now the last thing I want to add is a button at the bottom of the page to Nick's Etsy store. He has more products available there, and I just want to make sure that visitors know they can find more there. So, shop more on Etsy. We'll give it a link, make it large, and you know what? Let's change this. Browse more drums on Etsy. I think that's a little clearer. So, let's save. And here's our Shop Drums page. Pretty nice, right? So next up is the home page. The key with the home page is to make your website purpose clear. You want visitors to understand what the website is about. So let's make a very clear heading 1 to start the page. I favor clarity over cleverness. I could have made this headline something like, "March to the beat of your own drum," or something, but I'd rather be clear than clever. Next, I add a simple photo of 3 drums sitting side by side. Now I wanted this heading 1 to all sit on one line, and I couldn't figure out how to do it. What I realized is all you have to do is add a spacer to each side, and that would expand the width of the heading 1. Finally, let's add 2 buttons to the bottom of the page. The first button, we're going to link to my story. And we're going to make that aligned right. The next button will link to Shop Drums. We'll make it a large drum, and we'll align that on the left. Then, snap them into columns. Now we have this nice centered button effect. Let's take a look at our homepage. Looking pretty good. I think I just want to make the 3 drum image a little skinnier. So, edit. And let's add a spacer on either side. Perfect. I like that. There we go. That sits just a little nicer. And there we have our homepage. My only regret with the homepage is I don't have a photo of Nick on it. I believe websites should always be human, but I honestly just couldn't find a photo of Nick that worked here. Or well, websites also can't be perfect. It's better to launch than seek perfection. The homepage still communicates the purpose of the site and moves visitors on to the next step, either learn our story or shop drums. Okay, now let's move on to our final page, the contact page. Contact pages are workhorses. They're a small but critical part of lead generation. Visitors often come to the contact page to find information, so make sure it includes the following if necessary: hours of operation, holiday hours, directions, map, address, phone number, email, and a contact form. Since the contact page is responsible for lead generation, it should be site-wide and obvious. Don't make visitors search around for it by hiding it in the footer. So let's start by adding 2 headings. And ask me anything, I'll reply within 1 business day. And I'm going to add a heart emoji here for a bit of playfulness. Heart custom drums. And let's center align this and let's make it a heading 2. So Mac users, just so you know, you can always bring up the emoji keyboard by pressing Control, Command, Space. Next, let's add a contact form. All right, we'll call this our contact form. And the one thing to know about your contact form is you want to check storage. It should be emailing to your email address, but you might also want to connect it to Google Drive. Squarespace doesn't store submissions to this form, so you want to connect it to Google Drive. That way you have a backup of all form submissions in case you accidentally delete one. This is not actually ideal, so hey, Squarespace, save form submissions by default. Now Nick has decided he'd rather not include his address or phone number on this page, so instead I'm going to add a photo of him. Again, we just want to keep putting him front and center to show that there's a real-life human behind this business. And let's snap this into a column with the form. Come on. Come on. There we go. And let's add a spacer. And we've got a nice contact page. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, I like that. That's really nice. Now the last part of our website we need to touch up is the footer. So let's go back into the editor and click Edit. And let's just clear out all this content. Delete, delete. And we're going to make it really simple. 2 columns of text that frame the website. Again, we're going to use the Mac emoji keyboard to add a little heart. Made with love in Toronto. We're going to add another line with some copyright information, and we'll align that to the right. We'll snap these into a column, and let's save. Now, the text is a little light, so let's just quickly turn that into a darker color. So we'll open Site Styles. We'll click the footer, and we'll change that to our 333 dark gray. We'll save. And just like that, the design of our website is done. We still have to do some SEO work and make sure our website is responsive, but man, take a step back and just appreciate the beauty of this website. So your website needs to be mobile friendly. The best way to do this is with a responsive template. Fortunately, all Squarespace templates are responsive. All you have to do is open this toggle to see how your site looks on desktop, tablet, and on phones. Though it looks like our menu is just in the wrong place. So let's fix that. Let's go Design, Site Styles, And we'll scroll down to our mobile style settings. And yeah, position top left. Let's change that to top right. And that fixes it. And that's it, honestly. Everything else is just automatically mobile friendly. Navigation becomes a drawer. And if we browse down, we can see all our content is broken down into a mobile friendly view. Now we just need to tackle the favicon. Favicons are small icons representing your website that you see in a browser's tab. To add a favicon in Squarespace, navigate to Design, Logo and Title, scroll down, and upload your favicon. We click Save, and let's drag down the browser, hit Refresh, and boom, there you go. You can see it in the browser tab. Now let's talk about SEO. SEO, or search engine optimization, just means you're optimizing your website to rank in search engines like Google. One important tactic around that is customizing how your website appears on search engine result pages. For example, here's what Site Builder Report, my website, looks like in Google. To customize this in Squarespace, we need to adjust the title of our pages. So navigate to Marketing and click SEO, and we're going to change the SEO title format. To be honest, this might seem a little intimidating. So if it is, don't worry, you can skip it. Really, I'm just telling Squarespace that I want to write my page titles completely myself. So let's navigate to Pages and write custom page titles. We'll start with the Shop Drums page. So you can see Squarespace gives you a little preview there of how you'll look in the search engine result page. And ideally, your title is descriptive and includes an important keyword for the page, but don't try to shoehorn a bunch of keywords here. The title should make sense and be readable to human beings. Shop handmade decorative drums, and we'll include Nick's name. To be honest, this is really just the start. SEO is a whole discipline unto itself. I've actually had a good amount of success with SEO. For example, my website, Site Builder Report, is ranked #1 if you search best website builders in Google. I'm beating companies like GoDaddy and Wix that have hundreds of millions of dollars in marketing budgets. So how did I do it? Honestly, here's my advice. Avoid shortcuts. I'm sure you've had telemarketers call you and promise the #1 spot on Google, but they're lying. What they mean is they'll buy Google ads to promote your website on Google. Google ads are the ads that appear above the organic results. The truth is no one can guarantee you the #1 organic spot in Google. That's just nonsense. The way to rank in Google is simple, but it's just hard. It comes down to a few key ingredients. 1, keywords. Keywords are the search terms your target audience is searching. These are what you're targeting and what you hope to rank for. 2, content. Google wants to reward the best content, so go overboard creating outstanding content. I have a written version of this video and it's over 10,000 words. It honestly took me weeks to write. But I'm trying to rank this video and that article for the term how to make a website, and that's a really competitive keyword, so the content needs to be outstanding. 3, links. Having other websites naturally linking to your website is critical for SEO. Don't try to manipulate this. Google is really good at weeding out unnatural links. I've linked to some SEO resources in the video description if you'd like to learn more. The other important thing to know is that there's a sub-discipline for SEO. It's called local SEO, and it's super important for a lot of small businesses. Local SEO is SEO done for searches with local intent. You've probably seen these before if you search for a local business on Google, or if you use Google Maps. Local SEO is a discipline unto itself, and if you'd like to learn more about it, I've included a few links in the video description below. They're a good place to get started. Okay, now that that's all done, I'm going to show you how to publish your Squarespace website on your own domain name. And I'll even show you how to set up your own email address on that domain name. All right, so we'll start by hitting subscribe on this button in the bottom. And this will take us to our plan selection page. Now, we can pay annually or we can pay monthly. You'll save a little bit if you pay annually, and you'll also get a free custom domain. So that's what we're going to do. We're also going to use the personal plan. It's definitely good enough for most websites. The business plan adds some third-party integrations, and Commerce Basic and Commerce Advanced are for e-commerce stores. So let's select that plan, which takes us to the billing page. And this is where you enter your credit card details, but I'm going to skip this page so my credit card details aren't on YouTube for anybody to just use. And then we'll confirm this purchase. And boom, we're good to go. Now let's set up that free domain name that Squarespace gives us on our annual plan. So we'll click Get a Domain. And fortunately, sergeantnickdrums.com is available. So we're just going to grab that. So click Add, click Proceed to Checkout. And I'm just going to hide. This is just contact information. And then we place the order. And then we have to wait around for about 10 minutes for a confirmation email to come from Squarespace. After 10 minutes, here's the email you'll receive. And you want to click this link and we'll verify our contact information. And once that's done, go back to Squarespace and let's refresh the page. And it should tell us that, yes, okay. Yes, our domain name is successfully set up. Next, we're going to add a custom email address for Nick that will be hosted on his domain name. The email address will be nick@sergeantnickdrums.com. So let's click the domain and scroll down and click Add Email. So Squarespace email hosting is provided by G Suite. And G Suite is Google's product that lets you host your email address with Gmail. Costs $6 a month, but it's definitely the best email service. So let's select monthly. And we're going to create an account here. And I'm going to move really fast. Keep this private. And when I'm done, click Continue. And then we're going to purchase. And boom, we've purchased one email address. Now there's still a few steps left to do. So press Done. And we have two things we need to do. Google couldn't verify domains. Let's just hit try again. That'll probably go away pretty quick. Yeah. Next, we have to sign the G Suite Terms of Service. And we do that in the G Suite dashboard. Accept. And now it's going to ask me to create a password for this email address. Some more agreements to accept. And boom. All right. We should be done. So let's refresh this page. And yeah, there's no more prompts, which means our email address is set up. So if we go to Gmail, awesome, we're automatically signed in as nick@sergeantnickdrums.com. And now this email is just a working Gmail email. Awesome. Okay, there was one last step. We just need to publish our site. So now click Publish Your Site in the bottom, and we're going to change it from private to public. And our site is live. So copy that URL, paste it in your browser, wait for that website to load. There we go, sergeantnickdrums.com is live. We are live, we did it, a website in less than an hour. And I gotta say, it's a pretty nice looking website. It's simple, but it's fresh and modern. Holy cow, did you get through this entire video? That's amazing. Leave a comment and say hi. You just spent an hour with me. If you'd like to buy one of Nick's drums, I've included a link in the website below. I have one of the drums myself, and I can attest that they're pretty awesome. And remember, if you'd like to use Squarespace, you can use the link in the video description. And if you use the offer code partner10, you'll get 10% off. All right. Thank you for watching, and best of luck making your website.